educators. Wanted to give you a brief overview of our cosmetology distance learning package. The package that I'm going to preview for you today is called our comprehensive package. This package will include curriculum in all chapters of your course that will cover the maximum amount of distance learning hours for your program. The course I'm going to show you today is actually for a vocational program. Their license requires 1,000 hours, so the maximum for distance learning is 25%, so 250 hours. We are also going to be showing you the curriculum package utilizing Milady curriculum. One of the things that makes our package more affordable than going out and purchasing a per seat program for distance learning is that we're utilizing the curriculum that your school has already purchased. We're just simply taking this and organizing it in an easy to use manner that meets the requirements for Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. So when you log into your dashboard, if you're utilizing the Canvas Learning Management System, which is how I'm going to preview this for you today, you're going to see something similar to this. You see me moving the cursor around with a bunch of different courses here. In your course on the comprehensive package, you are going to have multiple blocks. We don't recommend leaving your course open the way I'm going to show it to you when I click into it. We're going to put it into different modules for you because that's how you're going to need to pull the hours for TDLR. And I know that sounds kind of confusing right now, but you'll understand more when we get into it. Just wanted you to know in the Canvas Learning Management System, you'll see different blocks, and yours are going to have something like Module 1, Module 2, Module 3, Module 4, and then you'll know that you're going to move your students through these modules in that sequential order. When you open up your course, you're just going to click on it, and your students would actually see a similar view to this, only when we go into the course, you're going to be able to see all of it. They would only be able to see what you've released to them at a certain time. It's always going to start on a home page like this that has an intro video. I'll play a few seconds of that for you. Sadly, you're not going to be able to hear the video because you either get to hear me speak or you get to hear the video. That's the way our webinar recording software works. But there is a track that goes along with this. It tends to throw me for a loop when I'm playing it because although you can't hear it, I can hear it in my earpiece. But it will play a introduction video for them, giving them just some instructions in a manner that kind of engages our high school students. There's also going to be some instructions here for them telling them always click on modules and how to submit their roll call assignments. This is how we keep track of not necessarily the amount of time that they've spent in the course, but you can go back and look and see as they're moving through the modules and moving through the assignments in sequential order when they have actually moved through the roll call assignments. And you'll see a little bit more about that in a minute. So it gives them those instructions and tells them not to hesitate to contact you with any questions they may have. As we export your course to you on your day of training, we will go through here and we will teach you how to add your contact information to your course. So as it tells the students to go into modules, we're going to click and go into modules. So what they're going to see when they go in here is going to be welcome to distance learning. Let's get started. On the student view, it's going to look a little different. This welcome section here, every assignment will be open to them. Oops, they closed on me. All of these will be open since there's not a prerequisite for this course. They will start to earn time with the very first thing that they open in the course as soon as they've logged in, but this is the only module that will allow you to click into any assignment as a student. So they could click roll call attendance, and do this assignment and then be able to move into history of cosmetology. The other modules, after they move past them, every assignment will have to be worked in order. Let's go ahead and take a look at the roll call attendance. So that says this assignment was created by roll call. Scores are automatically updated each time you take attendance. Please click submit, enter today's date in the text submission box. Move to the next assignment in the module, thank you. So that's all they will do is they're going to click submit, put the date in there, and then they'll click next, and it's going to take them to the next assignment in the module. This is one of the unique features that we use that makes this distance learning course compliant with TDLR. They will be logged in not only to their distance learning course, but they're also going to be logged into their Google Drive folder. If they don't have that, we provide some videos here that will instruct them on how to create a Google Drive folder and how to share that folder with you. They're really not going to turn many assignments in through the Google Drive because it becomes cumbersome for the teacher to grade them. Really everything the student does in their distance learning course is going to be submitted through the learning management system, and the grading is much more simple on that side. But again, it's going to give them these instructions and it tells them to move on to step 2. This gives them a lot of information. Another roll call attendance. And then here's their first assignment. So this is just an essay about who I am. Um, when we have our face-to-face training, I'm going to instruct the teachers that, the distance learning is an extension of what they're doing in the classroom, and they can choose to grade, pull grades for the grade book on the school side from exams, tests, assignments, however much time they want to put into pulling grades. The grades are going to be here for them. And I say that because the grading can become quite cumbersome, but if there's one assignment that you're going to grade out of your whole distance learning package, grade this one because it's really interesting to see what the students are going to submit when they're given an essay assignment, who I am. A lot of these are very touching, and it will really give you a lot of insight into what your students may be dealing with in their own personal lives. Okay, so that would finish up kind of the welcome to cosmetology for the distance learning, and then we'll be moving into our first module. So every module that they open, one of the first things they're going to receive is going to be kind of an overview of what our learning objectives are for each course. With History of Cosmetology, we're going to explain the origins of appearance enhancement, name the advancements made in cosmetology during the 19th, 20th, and early 21st centuries, list several career opportunities available to a licensed practitioner, and then it's going to give them a little information. The first modern lipstick dates back to approximately 1915. Until then, women used stains such as kermes, which is derived from dried bodies of bugs, to color their lips. Click the link to read an article from the Canadian Chemical News to learn more about how lipstick has evolved over the centuries. And so it gives them something interesting to read. At this point, because the students cannot advance to assignments until they have clicked through the page, um, they may not know if they're going to need this article for a test or another assignment after it. And so we do find that students will generally open these and engage in that content a little bit before they click next. Then they're going to come into a pre-assessment. So you'll have 32 pre-assessments in your distance learning course, one for each of the units of Milady. The pre-assessment is going to provide each student with the entire test bank from your curriculum. And I'll tell you why this is important. We want the students, before they start studying a new unit, especially when you get into things like infection control, hair coloring, chemical texture, the units that I consider to be way more difficult for students to master. I have found it very helpful if the students see what they're going to be learning, not just in the terms of okay, these are our learning objectives, but hey, these are going to be your test questions for this unit. So I want you to see what you need to learn. They can use their notes, um, different things later on to go back and retake this assessment, but for the first time, they're going to take it without any instruction at all whatsoever. You're going to see what they already know and what they need to know for you as an instructor. I do leave these open for my students. It's your choice. You can leave it open for them, or you can shut that down to where you will only let them take it once or twice. I tell my students you can take this as many times as you want, and that's the instructions that are going to come in your distance learning course. You will not be timed. You can retake this assessment as many times as you want. You will receive a grade for your highest attempt. This is an excellent study guide for the unit exam. Each student must complete and submit the pre-assessment before moving to the next assignment in the module. You may use your textbook for this pre-assessment and all pre-assessments in your distance learning course. So there's no time limit. All of the questions are going to present on one page. They can scroll through them and look at every question in the unit if they want to. Okay. Then here's frequently asked questions. You'll have some of these in every unit. It just gives them some basic information about what is cosmetology, who were the first people to engage in what would be considered to be cosmetology. Some helpful web links. It's the next page. So here it gives you something about career planning, a career guide, and finally what you need, the history of cosmetology. So it gives you a brief history. That's a excellent website for them to do some research on. Here's the essential vocabulary. And then this would be their first video assignment. So what we choose to do is we put the videos in a web service called Edpuzzle. These assignments are locked down where they can't be fast forwarded through. And we will generally have some questions after this or some terms that are going to pop up at the end of the video. The students will learn very quickly that they have to watch these videos in order to be successful in the course. Let's see if it'll let me log in here. Okay. And again, you're not going to be able to hear the video because you're hearing me talk, but these are narrated for the students. And as they go through here, these are going to stop and it's going to ask them questions. What do you think a stir means? So they would need to answer that question in order to move on. What are your future dreams, goals, or aspirations for your future in the cosmetology industry? So they would again enter their answer. Let's move into the next assignment. Now here's a quiz. So there was a term given to them at the conclusion of the Edpuzzle assignment. So they're going to have one attempt at this quiz. And so be prepared for the fact that your students may not engage in the Edpuzzle videos at the very beginning, but when they realize they're going to have to watch through this in order to get the terms that they need, they will engage in them very quickly, and it's going to greatly help them to watch these videos and help them kind of comprehend the information that they need to know. Another roll call attendance. And then here's their textbook assignment. Using chapter 1 of your textbook, please copy and paste the review questions below into the assignment submission area and provide your answers. So answer each question using information from your reading and lessons as a guide. And so there's just usually 10 questions in the textbook assignments, but it's going to require them to cut and paste this into a submission box, which again is something they need to know how to do if they don't already know how to cut and paste. That technology integration is very important for this generation, and submit their answers. Here's a career paths assignment. Another attendance. Which era are you assignment? And then here's a discussion. I like to use the discussion questions because students are going to be able to interact with each other and kind of get their thoughts about the topic at hand, and they can go back and they can read other students' thoughts. So it's usually going to require them to post first, and then they'll be able to go back and read what other students have posted. Here are their study notes. Roll call attendance. Here is their chapter 1 exam. So when they reach the exam, remember how I told you on the pre-assessment, they're getting the entire question bank for this unit. So on the exam, we may or may not give them every question out of the unit. In Chapter 1, there are 23 questions in the test bank. They're going to receive 20 questions on their final exam, and every exam is going to give them the exact same instructions. Make sure you're fully prepared for this exam before beginning. You will receive 45 seconds to 1 minute per question. Answering a question and moving to the next question will save your response, and you will not be able to return to the previous question. When your time expires, your exam will automatically submit. You will have 2 attempts for this exam. However, each attempt will have different questions. So for 20 questions, this exam has a time limit of 15 minutes on it. If you give any student a full minute per question, they can Google the answers. And we're not interested in figuring out how fast they can Google things. These exams are designed for you, the instructor, to be able to gauge how much the student has learned and retained of this content. I do allow my students to take it twice because, again, my goal is for them to be able to pass their state exam, not give them a bad grade on their report card, and not show them up for their inability or unwillingness to study. So what I'm trying to do is encourage them to study, and so this method's been very effective for me. Generally, they don't want to fail these tests. So that's the way that works. The students will ask, how come I can't go back and revisit the questions once I answer them? So I have to be honest with you. I tell them that their state exam is the same way. And so I'm preparing them to sit for that written exam. Uh, they really don't know until right before they go take it. And sometimes I don't tell them at all. They'll come out and go, Miss, you told me that it was going to be like your test where I wouldn't be able to go back and review my answers. And I could go back and review them. And I'm like, really? They must have changed that. Or if they're especially nervous about it, I may tell them, hey, you're really prepared because I have prepared you by um, giving you exams that were probably way more difficult than what you're going to take on your state exam. What do you mean? And then I explain it to them. This has just been a really effective method for me in the classroom when I was teaching high school cosmetology full time. And in the last 3 years that I taught, every single one of my students licensed. So um, this works. I highly encourage you to give it a try. However, if you don't want to do it this way and you want to adjust the time, allow more time, or extend the time for students that need to have some differentiation because of a learning disability, you certainly can do that, and we'll teach you how to do that in your training, how to adjust these settings. So then we would be going into the next module, which is a digital portfolio assignment. And this is something kind of extra, something that I always used in my classroom. It's really cool, and I can explain some more about that to you in your training, but I don't want to waste too much of your time here. So let me go back and show you the difference in this course and in the beginner package. In the comprehensive package, you're going to receive all of your units under, this is in Milady, in the Milady Cosmetology. So we've got History of Cosmetology, the Digital Portfolio, Life Skills. This final exam is going to combine chapters 1 and 2 because you'll have these periodically throughout the distance learning course. I think it's important for their learning to continue. We want them to retain this information as they move throughout the course. So I want them to go back and revisit this through certain units. So we will combine these. Professional image, communicating for success. This final exam covers chapters 3 and 4. Infection control. This is one of the big bad ones. This is the first unit I tell my students when we start infection control in chapter 5 that this is the first unit that's really going to test their study skills. There's a lot of vocabulary in this unit, and they really, really have to be dedicated to learning this content. As you know, the written exam for the state of Texas has changed. The new exam will start, I believe it's November 1st. And we used to have 21 questions out of infection control. The new exam is going to have 28. So this is one of the most important units that they will study. Lots of content in here. Then here's your comprehensive exam for chapters 1 through 5. So we're combining all of this. This would probably be the end of your first module. Then we'll move into what I like to call the science chapters. Even though infection control falls in the science chapter, generally these first 5 chapters are what most instructors will cover in the first 6 weeks of probably cosmetology 1. And so I just find it's better to leave infection control kind of in with the orientation chapters. Okay, then we'll go into general anatomy and physiology, skin structure, nutrition, and growth. You're going to see similar type assignments in here with a discussion question, video assignments. The videos are included here. Chapter 8, skin disorders and diseases, very similar. We've got skin structure and growth, nail disorders and diseases, so on, so on. I wanted to open hair cutting. Okay, hair cutting is a really large unit, and there are a lot of videos in here that you may or may not choose to use. In your training, we will show you how to kind of mute a video, and the reason why this is important is because what some instructors like to use to teach hair cutting, other instructors will not like to use to teach it. It's just kind of depending on their own personal preference. So in your face-to-face training, we will show you how to swap these out if you want to, or certainly we will be happy to show you how to utilize the content that we have in here. The reason why I say utilize it is because it's a little different. We're going to provide you with some head sheets. I wanted to open one of these with you. Okay, so we're going to provide you with some head sheets, which are going to include the parting and sectioning, the distribution, the elevation, and the cut. So here it's telling you these are drawn in for a student. So it tells them how to section it through the profile, radial, diagonal forward, and then the red lines are the cutting lines. The green lines are your distribution and the blue lines are your elevation. So the more you look at this, you'll understand more about this. Your students are going to look at it and it's going to look completely foreign to them, but they really do need to learn how to read head sheets and learn how all of this works. Then right behind the head sheet on the same page, there's going to be kind of step-by-step instructions. It's going to tell the stylist or your student where to stand with the client for the entire cut. It's going to tell them to how to part it step by step until the haircut is complete. Okay, along with each one of these head sheets, and in case if you're recognizing this as being Toni and Guy methodology, that is what it comes from, but you can certainly use your Milady videos if you would like to. The videos that we've included for you here for hair cutting are actually available on YouTube, and we have just put them into an Edpuzzle format for you to make them easier for you to use, and so that we know you'll be able to access these throughout the length of your course. So this is the one length video. So you can see it's got some nice clean sectioning there, and I just have found that this is a really great system to teach with. Additionally, let's go back down to hair cutting. These videos are from, these are actually videos that we've created from the Texas Cosmetology Educators side, and it's going to have some things just about basic cutting techniques and principles and areas of the head. It's jumping around on me a little bit. And this is annotated for the students, so it's actually going to play for them. So we'll have all of the haircutting. The reason why I wanted to show you this chapter in particular is because they're going to have the basic foundation here with techniques, basic principles of the head, guidelines and elevation, and then there's a tools and safety quiz. Then they're going to have their textbook assignment. The way we use this is we're going to have them watch the video first, take a quiz over the video, look at the head sheet. And sometimes I have my students draw the head sheet in class. So you could assign this for distance learning for them to do at home. Watch the video, take the quiz, study the head sheet. And then the next day in class, they wouldn't be getting hours for this on the distance learning side, but because the practical side has to be done in the lab, now they've prepared themselves at home. You can play the video again in class, put the annotated head sheet, the one that we're providing for you, on your overhead and give them a blank head sheet and have them draw it. I found this is really effective for students to be able to understand about the elevation and the distribution before they ever touch the mannequin and ever attempt to learn the haircut. So we've got the one length. We've also have forward graduation, natural inversion, square layers, and the round layer. Round layer is going to be your state board haircut. This is your 90-degree haircut. Then there's a review and then there's an exam. After the exam, we've also included a number of advanced cutting technique videos for you, and there's actually probably some more in the pages side, but because these have to be moved through in sequential order, we'll show you in the training how to kind of preview these and turn some off if you want to, or we can pull them out and you can add them as you want to. But I just wanted to show you that you're going to get a large number of hair cutting videos. Then we also have hairstyling, braiding and hair extensions, wig and hair extensions, chemical texture, hair coloring, hair removal, facials, facial makeup, manicuring, pedicuring, nail tips and wraps, monomer and polymer enhancements. We're really excited about these nail chapters. We feel like they're much better than they were a year ago because we've recently done a couple of manicuring courses for distance learning for programs that only offer the manicuring course. So these are great. They've got a lot of great instruction in them. And then all the way through your nail units, preparing for licensure on the job and salon business development. So if I opened all these and showed you every single thing that was in them, we would be here the rest of the night. I'm not going to do that, but I did want you to understand that in the comprehensive course that covers the full 250 hours, we're going to give this to you broken down into modules. So you're going to have the orientation through chapter 5. Then we will move into what I call the science chapters, which will be your anatomy and physiology, skin structure, growth and nutrition, skin disorders and diseases, nail structure and growth, nail disorders and diseases, and properties of the scalp, basics of chemistry, and electricity. So those units are going to be in one module together, and then we will move into the hair chapters. So we're going to have principles of hair design, shampooing, conditioning, and scalp care, hair cutting, hairstyling, braiding and hair extensions, wig, and hair additions. Then we are going to move into chemical services, chemical texture, hair coloring, and then we will move into your facial units and your nail units. So these will all be in one module together. The reason why we'll bust it up this way is so that you can pull your hours. When you pull your hours, once that module is completed, you can set up a timeline. We'll help you work out a schedule for when we think it would be best for you to submit those hours. And then when they move into the next module, it's going to reset their clock. So they'll be able to clock hours in their new module starting from 0. And that's really the best way to manage your hours for distance learning for TDLR regulations, so that when they come in to do their inspection, it's very easy for you to show them where they've clocked and how their hours have worked. So what does that look like and how do you run these reports? Let me show you real quick, briefly. On the instructor side, yours would look like this, where everything would be able to be opened wide up. But at the top of your page, it's going to have people. Now, since this is a test course, it's not going to show a lot of people in here. This is somebody that was observing Eloy Rania. Y'all may know him, I don't know. But when you drag this over here, you can see this was in the Victoria course. And even though I'm the teacher here, but it's showing here 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 30, 34 seconds and 7 hours, 34 minutes and 43 seconds. I apologize. I don't know why that 7:34:43 was leaving me tongue tied. But anyway, so this is showing you how much time total activity I've spent in the course and when my last activity was. Every time a student logs in here, it's going to show you their last activity and it's going to show you their total activity. In addition, when you click on the student's name, you can run an interaction report on each student. Move the screen over. So in this access report, it's going to tell you how many times the student has viewed each page and when was the last time they viewed the page. So it's going to give you the date and this timestamp of when they logged in and when they took a look at it. So part of your face-to-face training will be instructing you on which reports you want to print for each student when you submit their hours. It's not hard or complicated at all, but there are certain reports that are going to need to be printed for each student before you submit those hours. Kind of similar to printing a time clock on the time clock system. They're going to want to see their interaction and how many times they've hit these pages. Now, they're not going to come through in your inspection and look and say, okay, they spent 30 hours in the course, but they only hit this page 2 times, or they only hit this page 1 time. They're not going to get that detailed on it, but they are greatly impressed with seeing that you do have a timestamp of the times that they access these pages. What's very important to note, they cannot be logged into distance learning while they're on your clock. That's one of the things that they're looking for with these timestamps, is to see that they are using the distance learning course outside of class. Now, this course package, it does have a lot of great content in there, and there's times that you're going to want to use some of this content while they are in your class on the clock, particularly with the haircutting unit. So what we do for you is we actually give you a duplication of the course in your learning management system. One of them you will use for distance learning only, and the other one you can log into it and pull it up on your screen, or the students can log into it while they are in class. And it's just really important for them not to log into the distance learning course if they're on the clock. And I'll instruct you on how to instruct them about the importance of that, and that generally what we've done in the past is if they don't comply with our requirement for them not to log into that while they're on the clock, is that they will lose their time for that day in the distance learning course. We're not going to give them a portion of it even if they've logged in after hours. It's just very important. Generally what we find though is that teachers don't necessarily need to enroll the student into 2 courses. If you're going to use anything inside of your class time that the students need access to while they're on campus, it's generally going to be the video content that you're going to want to show in class. And so really just a duplication on the teacher side is usually sufficient, or for you to be able to pull up the head sheet on the screen. We want you to have access to all of the content at any time so that you can use it in class with students. Your login's not going to affect their time. Their login will. So that's about it. There's a lot of other information that we share with you in the face-to-face training, but this is our comprehensive distance learning package for vocational cosmetology, or the 1,000-hour cosmetology operator course. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at any time. Email is best, renda.songer